It's the time of year we're out at a lot of social events, barbecues, and hanging out by the pool. And being the car guys, you always get the question. I get it at the shop too, but even more so in the social setting. Matt, what's the best car to buy? I don't know.
Well, I get the question all the time, and I got to ask myself, why are they asking me this question? I think they think I know which cars just don't need to be repaired and which cars don't need to be maintained and which car can I buy and just drive and not have to spend any money on. And I think that's the motive behind the question.
So the question's not really, maybe it needs to be rephrased. It's not what's the best car to buy. Are they really asking, like you said, what car will I have to spend the least amount on and get the most out of?
Well, I would argue to say it is an unanswerable question because there's just so many variables that come into play, and there's not a broad stroke. I mean, I have my opinion. If you ask me, Dave, which car can I buy and just put gas in and maybe change the oil every 6 months and just drive? Which car can I drive the longest before it just goes kaput on the side of the road? Would you like to know which car that is? I do have an opinion on that, but in reality, that's not going to happen. So to answer the question, I don't think it's answerable. And it's a no-win question because I think they all make good ones, and they all do make some bad ones, but I don't think it's like the days of the Chevette. I mean, those cars that were completely just duds have gone away. I can't think of a car that's a total dud in my shop. Can you think of one?
No, they're really not. I mean, like you said, before the show, you said I can't think of a car it's just a junk car. I said you obviously weren't around when they were doing Yugos and Chevettes,
right?
But make the comparison to Coke or Pepsi or RC. They're all the same. They're all colas. They're all cars. It's going to depend on your personal preference. They all make good ones. They all make bad ones. And the same one, if you take the two cars but get two different owners, one could live its life as a piece of junk, and the other one's a beauty queen, polished up, and always running really well. So what's the difference?
Well, you were telling me a story about a lady that came in your shop, and she drove an Audi, and she loved the car, but it was time for a new car, and she said, well, what is the best kind of car? What should I get? And you said, Honda. That happened to be your answer that day. That was what you were in the mood for.
I like Hondas.
Well, a year later, she comes back to your shop, and she hates that car. Why did she hate the car?
She says, this Honda sucks. It's boring. I'll take the higher maintenance and repair bills for my Audi because the car is fun. This is just vanilla. Drive around. I pull at the stoplight. I think I see myself 3 other places in the intersection. I don't want this thing. It's boring.
Well, this comes from a blog that I put on KTAR.com. If you go to shows, you can find the information about it. But one of the things I notice at my counter is that different types of personalities drive different cars. Can you tell the difference between a Lincoln Navigator owner, Matt, and a Ford Expedition owner? Those are like the same car. One's got gold emblems. One's a little more pretentious.
Wow. Well, that's right. That's one example. But we'll use Honda again. When the Honda started coming to America in the late 70s, I think 78 is when that Civic and the gas crunch in the early 80s, and these people that bought Hondas were very tuned into maintenance. It was maybe something about the Japanese cars, and it was, I guess, the new thing. There was certainly a lot less of them in the 70s than there is nowadays, but they were tuned into taking care of their cars. So when I started working professionally in the early 80s throughout the 90s, the Honda owners, they were in. Hey, I need my 30,000. I need my 45. I need my valve adjusted. And that's certainly a different kind of owner than, say, an Oldsmobile owner. They're just maybe brought up a little bit differently in their car ownership world. The Oldsmobile, you just drive it, and when it breaks, you take it in and they fix it. That was maybe the mentality of that type of car owner.
Well, you remember the commercials from Toyota where the guy would jump, and I love my Toyota, that type of thing. I think there was a pride of ownership in those cars back in that day, like how far can I make my car go? And therefore, they were every maintenance, every service. They were in there. They were on top of it. Well, their experience of that car was fantastic, but partially because of the marketing and the mentality that went around with taking care of that car. Well, back to the other point that I was making is I don't think we have any just garbage cars. I am always afraid of like new technologies that come around the first year they come around. Are they going to be good? Aren't they going to be good? Could be kind of shaky. How much R&D, how much real-life experience does that new technology have? And we're seeing a lot of new technologies come around and new problems come around that will take some time to be worked through, but we can't just totally just take a brand of car and say, oh, they're all garbage because I had a bad experience with that one.
Well, they're all good. So I think then we get back to what's the question. So you're out there, you're listening to Matt and Dave right now. You're going to car dealerships. And now hopefully you're thinking a little bit before you're going in, you're looking at these cars. Maybe shouldn't be asking yourself, what's the best car to buy? You're asking the car guy, what's the best car for me? Go take a 30,000-foot view of your life and ask yourself, where am I in my life cycle of car ownership? Are all the kids out of the house and I'm retiring? I might buy a different car than maybe I'm 25 and just got that first really good job out of college. I'm probably not going to have any kids for a few years. That might dictate a little bit differently than my wife is pregnant. So some of those kind of questions.
I see the new couples get married and they get the 2-door convertible or the Camaro or whatever it may be, and then out pops the baby and that car
is totally by the gate and boom.
Totally. The goalie's been removed and now we need a different car. So if you're in that 30 to 40 range and you've got 5 kids and you play a lot of soccer on the weekends, I'm thinking convertible is not for you, but I'm thinking a minivan is probably a good practical choice unless, of course, you tow a ski boat, in which case a Tahoe is a better choice.
Or you have a personality conflict with a minivan. And I got to tell you, when my wife and I went and bought her new car in 2006, we knew we were having kids. She might have been pregnant. I don't remember now. So we knew we were having kids, and we thought, okay, this station wagon, as much as she hated it, I loved the sport wagon that we have. But I'll tell you what, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, station wagon, kids, it's sporty, great, this is going to work out well. But I'll tell you what, if I would have put 2 car seats in that when I test drove it,
probably wouldn't have bought it.
I may not have bought that car because it was great with one child. But then we start putting grandma in the back seat, and you can't reach the seat belt because the car seat's so close. And then it came time for 2 car seats. Something wrong here. It's just not working. So and I think part of my problem is again, we went on a nice test drive 4 or 5 miles around the freeway. I'm saying get out in this new car, kick the salesman out. Here's my driver's license. Here's my insurance. Leave me alone.
I'm going to go drive your car.
I'm going to go drive. Go put your car seat in it.
And drive it like it's stolen, by the way.
Yeah. Go to the parking garage. Go, take a ride up north. Just get yourself, put it in the context of which you're going to be using it, and it might help you answer some of these questions for yourself.
I don't think I've run into a brand at all that is just maintenance and repair free. I think the better job you do of maintaining the car and keeping up with it, the better it's going to feel and the less catastrophic or breakdown events that you're going to have. So it's really going to come down to how you take care of the car. We can build the nicest car in the world that you just don't go park in the ocean because it will ruin the car. I mean, the car needs to be taken care of, and that's a big piece of it. So are you willing to take good care of the car and stay on top of it, or are you going to let it be a jalopy after 80,000 miles?